There are only a handful of gaming heroes who could be considered truly iconic. Your Marios, your Lara Crofts, your Gordon Freemans, but that count has just come down by one, because we're increasingly convinced that Doom Guy, the guy from Doom, is Link from Zelda. Bear with me. This all began with a friendly tweet from outside Xtra fan Naked Steak, who observed that the Doom and Zelda series had a couple of things in common. Clearly, I didn't have much on that day, because the notion grew in my mind until now, when the list of similarities between Doom and Zelda is such that I can only reasonably conclude that Doom Guy and Link are one and the same. I know, but hear me out. Let's start with some easy similarities, and then we'll get to the crazy hypothesis. For those not familiar with the ins and outs of the Zelda series, Link's whole deal is that he pops up again and again throughout time, not always the exact same person, but always with the same job to do, that is, defeating evil. Link is a kind of universal constant, and a mantle that transfers from individual to individual, across eras and the complex, often nonsensical Zelda timeline. Doom Guy's whole deal appears eerily similar. When nasty things start pouring out the Hell Dimension, this mysterious protagonist is there and ready to blast those nasties into ludicrous jibs time and time again. Time is actually the key thing here, because to make this theory work, we have to assume that Doom Guy is Link, but after eons and eons of cycles of being resurrected to fight the forces of evil. Consider Doom Guy here, waking up on Mars in a stone sarcophagus at the start of Doom 2016. Having been resurrected by the UAC Corporation, he wastes zero time in dispatching demons. Why so keen? Because he's been here before. This isn't Doom Guy's first time waking up in a stone bathtub wearing next to nothing. Hey, we've all been there, right? But listen to how Doom Guy is described in his latest game. To quote from codex entries you can hear in Doom 2016, "Those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doom Slayer. The scribes carved his name deep in the tablets of hell across eons, and each battle etched terror in the hearts of the demons. They knew he would come, as he always had, as he always will, to feast on the blood of the wicked." Now call me crazy, but is that not exactly what a moblin would say about Link? I mean, once you translated it from... Now you're probably thinking that feasting on blood and tearing demon heads apart doesn't sound very Legend of Zelda, but remember, this is eons and eons in the future. Link's seen some stuff, man. And that's reflected in his appearance. Link may appear boyish and fresh-faced when he's playing with bows and arrows in the fantasy medieval-ish Zelda series, but by the time it comes to dispatching foes with a chainsaw, he's looking significantly more grizzled. And yet, come on, that sandy-coloured hair, those expressive eyebrows? It's certainly conceivable that Link, after many grueling cycles of reincarnation, would look like this. You try chainsawing 1,000 demons in half, see how chippy you look. There are more physical clues that betray the fact that Link and Doom Guy are one and the same. Chief among them, they are both left-handed. For most of his gaming career, Link was a famous southpaw, wielding his weapon on his sinister side, just like the hero of Doom. With The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, however, Link became right-handed, a concession to the Wii's Motion Plus peripheral add-on that let gamers, the vast majority of whom were right-handed, control combat by waving their arms. Link remains right-handed in Breath of the Wild, although he still has his original left-handedness in other games. Doom Guy was likewise a left-handed character at first, who has later put his right hand to use, so perhaps it's truer to say both characters are ambidextrous. Only 1% of the population are ambidextrous, so that's even stronger evidence that we're talking about one character here, not two. Now let's move on before you think about that too hard. Link's age and hairstyles might vary, but there's one constant: his peppy green outfit. Take away the Master Sword, take away Epona, but don't dare lay a finger on Link's traditional green garb worn throughout the Zelda series. Only Breath of the Wild has the temerity to give Link a non-green garment to wear, but even that game sees sense in the end by giving you his proper clothes as a reward for completing every shrine in the game. Link clearly loves his green getup, so it's no surprise that, in the distant hellish future, he maintains the same signature look, albeit with some stylistic and technological changes to reflect the era he's fighting in. Come on, tell me that if you had to design an outfit for Link to wear while fighting demons in a space station, it wouldn't look exactly like this. Link's armour in the Doom series may be a souped-up futuristic demon-proof upgrade, but its old-fashioned origins as a green tunic are preserved in the game's armour icons. This outfit isn't incidental, it's a key part of the character in both cases. To quote once more from the Doom 2016 Codex, the Praetor armour, as it's known, appears to be missing a component, likely the Doom Marine himself. And it's covered with markings also found on tablets and stones, which underlines the mythic nature of the Doom hero, and echoes how Link's gear is often referred to as heroes' clothes in Zelda, where they are integral to Link's legend. That's not to say Link doesn't switch it up occasionally, although Doom's Mega Armour no longer lets you breathe underwater as it did when it was called the Zora Tunic. Now it just adds an extra layer of defense. But that makes sense because there's no water on Mars. Every piece falling into place.
Tell me the truth. How proficient are you right now wielding that sword on your back? Legend says that an ancient voice resonates inside it. Can you hear it yet? Hero?
The best protagonists, it's generally accepted, are silent ones. How else am I supposed to imagine I'm hotshot theoretical physicist Gordon Freeman if he actually says science things? Link, of course, is as silent as they come, letting those around him handle the exposition in his games, and keeping his opinions ruthlessly to himself, even at the times when, come on Link, now might be a good time to chip in with some words of support.
I left them all to die.
Link isn't incapable of making sounds though, as you find out whenever he gets hurt. But grunts and screams of pain are all you'll be hearing from this eerily silent hero. Doom Link, as we may as well start calling him, hasn't gotten any chattier. At first it kind of made sense that all you heard from Doom's muscular marine were his pained grunts upon taking a demon claw to the throat, because the early Doom games didn't have any real story to speak of. As the series has progressed, however, its hero's silence becomes more and more pronounced in the face of unfolding, fully voice-acted narratives.
Do I need to remind you of the groundbreaking work that we're doing here?
No, but I've been authorized by the board to look at everything.
Doomguy's silence, just like Link's, may seem increasingly at odds with the games they star in, but if you ask me, it's part of what makes him so enduringly popular.
All the rumors, the human sacrifices, the hell portal, the demons. It's all true.
Plus, if Doomguy ever spoke, this crazy theory would fall out of the sky faster than an octo-balloon-covered raft. I mean, technically it might hold together if the words Doomguy spoke were, "Excuse me, princess," but nobody wants that. It's possible at this point that you're not convinced that Doomguy is just another Link incarnation, in which case I have two things to say to you. One, it's just you, everyone else is on board, and two, check out these super similar baddies. Doom's demonic baddies come straight from the underworld itself, an invasion of pinkish, screaming hellions, the likes of which most folks have never encountered, but Doomguy goes through them like a hot knife through, well, them. The reason? He's seen it all before. The Pinky Demon, one of the most common enemies in Doom, bears a striking resemblance to Zelda stock villain the Bokoblin, whose similar horns, posture, and pig-like appearance suggest one is clearly a descendant of the other. Doom's flaming skull lost souls? Well, here's their in-universe equivalent. Cacodemons? Clearly a Hinox that's evolved to only be a head. And good luck convincing anyone that Doom's Baron of Hell is not an evolved or possibly devolved form of the fearsome Lionel. Of course, then there's all the enemies in Doom that have firearms or robot spider legs, which you'd need a real crazy leap of the imagination to explain, like this one. Breath of the Wild presents the most technologically advanced version of Hyrule to date. For instance, consider the enormous robotic divine beasts, or the fact Link has the Sheikah Slate off-brand iPad that also takes photos, or the laser-firing robot Guardians. In Breath of the Wild, we learn to our dismay that the Guardians can be sort of hacked, which Calamity Ganon has done to devastating effect. Knowing Ganon can manipulate the tech in this way is all the proof we need that the Revenants from Doom are Zelda's Re-Dead, but with Sheikah technology-powered rockets grafted onto their shoulders. What? Alright, you explain how the Revenants got there then. I mean, without saying Doom has nothing to do with Zelda, obviously. Hopefully at this point the universes of Doom and Zelda are starting to feel a bit more linked. No pun intended. But while we're talking mainly about the man in green himself here, it's worth also considering the world our hypothetical Doom Link occupies. Hyrule may feel a long way from the Union Aerospace Corporation's Phobos complex, but take a look at how these games are built. Doom might feel like a senseless murder-a-thon, but its carefully crafted levels have more than a little in common with Zelda's dungeons. What with the secret doors, finding keys to unlock new areas, the ruthless enemies waiting around every corner to slash your non-regenerating health in half, or the spectacular boss fights that pace out each game, invariably filling an enormous stone chamber with fiery projectiles. So that's why I get nervous around quarries. On paper, you might be on Mars, but in reality, it's just another labyrinthine complex full of monsters and puzzles. If anything, you'd want the world of Doom to be less similar to that of Hyrule. I mean, seriously, after this long ploughing through dungeon after dungeon across the boundless span of time, Link deserves a break. But the point is, Doom and Zelda, perhaps games that aren't as different as you might have assumed. Okay, that's my evidence. Now for a section that I call Massive Caveats. Real talk now. To cook up this theory, I've obviously had to read selectively into both the worlds of Doom and Zelda, and there are plenty of inconsistencies. Chief among them, if Doomguy is Link, where are Zelda and Ganon? How do we explain that Doomguy in the third game looks nothing like Link? Or this old manual for the first Doom, which says you're an Earth Marine who punched his superior officer? Or the fact that this Microsoft presentation from the 90s proved that Doomguy is actually Bill Gates?
These games are getting really realistic.
But what I love about this theory is there's genuinely enough to it, and it's so outlandish that when presented with those kinds of obstacles, I found it's more fun to think of ways around them than to give up. Maybe something terrible happened to Zelda and Ganon, leaving only Link in an ultimately futile merry-go-round of demonic bloodshed and resurrection. Maybe Link is on Mars because Hyrule is the Hell Dimension, and he came through to our world with the demons. Maybe Zelda is the future and Doom is Link's past? And I don't know how Doom's Union Aerospace Corporation comes into this, but oh my god guys, look at their logo in Doom 3! Probably should have just made that item 1 on this list. Okay, so those were some of the reasons to suppose that Doomguy and Link are one and the same. Are you convinced? I'd be interested to know, or can you think of any other reasons to suppose that this crazy theory might actually be genuine? I don't know. I'd like to hear what you guys think. And if you enjoyed this, then we've got some more videos to watch. Check out this one up here, and you can do us a massive favor by subscribing as well. Okay, do be sure to check back next time for why Master Chief is actually Tingle. He's Tingle, guys, and no one's talking about it.